Man, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this one. But if I'm being honest, odds are your favorite anime's MC is, well, trash. And it's not just because they're OP or the chosen one trope. It's just because they suck or they're a walking harem power fantasy trope that caters to lonely, insecure dudes.
You are maidenless.
They're boring and as cliche and basic as your imaginary girlfriend's pumpkin spice latte addiction.
She goes to another school.
Like, if we're being honest, I bet on my dad's life you wouldn't actually want to hang out with them if they were real. And it's all your fault.
I have a lot of questions. Number one, how dare you?
Well, okay, not yours personally. Really, all of us as a whole. Let's talk about it. Oh, but you're just a hater who doesn't like mainstream anime. First off, my favorite anime of all time is Attack on Titan. Aaron was right, and even though Sasha was my favorite character, if you hate Gabby or Flock, then you missed the point. I don't care. Fight me. Anyways, let's lay the groundwork. Think about the fan debate between the characters of Luke Skywalker and Rey Palpatine. Luke starts off utterly unlikable. He's immature, whiny, and cocky, but after going through loss and some humbling, he later matures, becomes responsible, humble, and works hard to become stronger, motivated by seeing the good in everything, even his enemies. Now compare that to Rey. Zero flaws at all. Objectively headstrong and cocky, but without consequences. Unreasonably OP without hard work. And instantly gains deep, meaningful relationships that make no sense. It's boring, lazy, and quite frankly, pandering writing. If you're already the best at everything, there's nothing for you to aspire to, work towards. Also, her plot armor is crazy. She gets glazed more than a Krispy Kreme donut. But the difference is the audience is expected to love and adore Rey, despite them not giving any substantial reasons for it. Meanwhile, the audience is designed to see Luke as the whiny, immature child that he was. Mark Hamill himself was asked about this in an interview, and he said he purposely made him immature so he'd have room to grow. We saw that growth begin almost immediately once crap hit the fan. He didn't continue to whine and pout because he realized he needed to humble himself and get good. This process continues throughout the trilogy until we're left with the hero of the rebellion that embodies true strength, compassion, determination, integrity, maturity, and altruism. He went from being annoying and insufferable in the first part of New Hope to one of the most beloved and respected characters in all of fiction. But more importantly, it made him a layered, interesting character. One that you didn't just watch, but you admired, you cheered for. For me, it wasn't so much about the Mary Sue as much as I just couldn't relate or connect to Rey's character. And I wanted to. See, that's what makes some characters so relatable and charming. It's the flaws and subsequent growth. I identify as a flawless, perfect specimen, but unfortunately for me, that's not exactly in line with reality. I'm flawed, like very flawed. Shocker, I know. Like sure, I'm really good at certain things, like my cheery and totally not jaded sense of humor. But I'm painfully aware of my many flaws, like being impatient, impulsive, running a YouTube channel, and pronouncing rural.
It's rural.
But I'm doing my best to grow as a person and be just a little bit better than I was yesterday. So it's natural to feel drawn to characters that are also flawed and more complex than meets the eye. But there's a fine line between a character that has flaws and natural immaturities they strive to overcome that we can relate to, and someone who is unrelatable and just obnoxious. A perfect example for me is Takemichi from Tokyo Revengers. Takemichi is a whiny crybaby who spends 2 whole seasons not really growing or maturing and continuing to cry about everything. Like, I get a 14-year-old kid can be emotional at times, but keep in mind, he's actually 26 years old. He's annoying, and the contrast between his manner of acting and lack of emotional control compared to Mikey or Draken makes this all the more painfully obvious. This makes it so much harder to connect to his character, and you end up watching this show for literally anyone else except him, if you even keep watching. The same is frustratingly true with Midoriya from My Hero Academia. Good lord, this dude doesn't stop crying until like season 5. He's a good kid with a good heart, and that's admirable, don't get me wrong. But man, after 2 seasons of enduring him blubbering and talk no jutsuing every 10 seconds, I get why Bakugo bullies him. Shoot, I'd bully him. No matter how powerful Deku became, I really couldn't care less because I couldn't connect to his character. Not to mention how his powers just became whatever random nonsense the plot needed him to be. Sure, Deku finally got a bit better after he had his goth girl phase. Like most My Hero fans I've talked to, I much prefer the side characters, because they act like actual human beings. Now to be clear, I'm not trashing these shows as a whole. They're not bad anime, and I get why so many people enjoy them. I'm just saying that their main characters are the absolute weak point in the formula, and the shows would be significantly more enjoyable if those issues weren't so blindingly present. For contrast, take a look at another shonen, Itadori from JJK. He's immature and impulsive, but never annoying or obnoxious. He's not an immature crybaby. He's actually the exact opposite. Sure, he's kind of dumb, but out of sheer innocence. He's as lovable as a puppy for all the same reasons. And this selfless, brave kid gets forced into a terrifying and extremely dangerous world with no warning or choice in the matter. The pain and sudden responsibility constantly thrust upon him forcibly matures him, and we as the audience watch him become who we all want him to be. Sure, he has a tragic backstory and goes through more trauma and suffering in the first year or two than most shonen MCs go through their entire show, but instead of the writers using it as an excuse for him to be an insufferable man-child for like 12 seasons, it's shown to explain why he's so selfless and caring. He's very much so a kid at heart still, and literally since he's a teen. But that's not a bad thing. He's able to enjoy being silly and carefree with his friends, the ones that are still alive at least, which makes him more grounded. But he's also serious when needed. He's a great example of writing a flawed, immature, relatable main character with tons of room for growth, but who is universally loved by the fan base, as well as being a great role model. Another great example is Kafka from Kaiju number 8. He's one of the few shonen MCs that isn't a teenager, which is great for us old heads. He's out of shape, out of money, and out of options for attaining his goals in life. He's a loser by the world standards. But he doesn't let it define him. He's genuinely funny. Like, there's several times I found myself laughing out loud at the crap he was saying or doing. He's just a normal dude whose life has kind of passed him by, despite his best efforts. He's frustrated, but hasn't given up or become jaded. He nurtures the future generation. We also see him cultivate a healthy trust in his comrades, relying on them and being okay taking a back seat at times, instead of always needing to be the hero. Those are the kinds of qualities you can relate and look up to. How about Spike from Cowboy Bebop? Even though he's a full-grown adult, he's still immature in a lot of ways. He's irresponsible, impulsive, short-sighted, and selfish. He's flawed, but it's understandable and grounded. Again, most of us can relate in one way or another, whether because he reminds us of someone or maybe ourselves. But he's also charismatic, cool, and ultimately an undercover softie. He's not as aloof as he wants to appear or convince himself he is, and still cares about others, which gets in the way of him wanting to live a selfish lifestyle. He continues to grow as the story progresses, becoming more self-sacrificing, empathetic, and cool-headed, but he's still flawed, which we see in his self-destructive obsession with revenge and chasing romantic closure. But again, that just serves to make his already grounded character more complex and relatable. I mean, who hasn't tried to take on an entire organized crime syndicate by yourself just so you can get some FaceTime with a pick-me girl who ghosted you back in middle school? The key is being able to truly relate and connect to the main character. As I mentioned earlier, most of us are aware of our flaws, but actively want to grow and become better. There's a reason why when we look back and see our posts from 5 or 10 years ago, we cringe harder than someone watching The Acolyte. If you saw yourself 10 years from now, and you were the exact same, no gained maturity, self-awareness, or any discernible form of significant growth, wouldn't you be disappointed? We subconsciously want to idolize our favorite characters, while somewhat seeing ourselves in them. So a great main character is both grounded enough for us to relate to, which includes having obvious flaws that are also relatable without being off-putting because of how perverse or severe they are, but they're also better than us in at least one way. Typically an indomitable will, unwavering integrity, or peerless intelligence. These things give us as the viewer something to aspire towards. But those same amazing qualities can unfortunately be overshadowed by a character that is otherwise annoying or one-dimensional. How many of you cry at the drop of a hat, loudly whine constantly about every little thing, or have deep, long-winded speeches about your determination every 5 minutes? Exactly. And that's why it's so difficult for fans to connect with MCs like Naruto, Takemichi, Asta, Tanjiro, or Midoriya. There's a good reason why, of the big three, a lot of people genuinely like and prefer Ichigo over Naruto or Luffy as a character, even if Bleach itself isn't their favorite. He's got all their good qualities, but is much more relatable. I think a lot of it has to do with many manga anime writers not remembering or understanding correctly what it's like to be a teenager. And erring on the dramatic side is an easy way to write an engaging character that doesn't come off as boring. If you want to see what this lazy writing style looks like to its natural extreme, look no further than CW soap opera shows like Arrow, Flash, etc., where every character is a walking idiot trope, hyper-emotional, overreacting, whiny, long-winded man-child that never truly grows or matures. But as I mentioned earlier, it can absolutely be done right if the writer doesn't pigeonhole themselves and pander to what they think kids and teens act like. I'm also tired of the OP main character trope that is so rampant in today's anime. Not that it can't be done correctly, like Trigun, The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic, Full Metal Alchemist, and others. But recently, every main character is ridiculously overpowered in every way except their personality. They have the charm and appeal of a wet cardboard box, and yet every single female in their vicinity somehow wants them. Like seriously, how do y'all not realize this is the definition of pandering to the lowest common denominator? Do you feel weak and powerless in life, but don't want to actually put any sustained effort into changing that? Do you have zero social skills and even the thought of talking to a girl makes your SpongeBob tighty-whitey shiver? Do you also never plan on actually building up the courage to talk to someone you're interested in? Potentially fail, try, and fail again and again until one day you succeed? Then do I have the show for you? But seriously, all these power harem fantasy trope MCs are the same, and none of them are relatable or admirable. And subconsciously, whether we want to accept it or not, our brains are sponges, and we're drawn to what we relate to. But we also become what we consume. And personally, I think you deserve better. I also understand nostalgia is powerful, and I'm not immune to it either. Some of my favorite shows from my childhood had one-dimensional meh main characters like Gundam Wing or Escaflowne. But I think if we can step back and acknowledge it without bias while still paying respect to the show for what it is or was, then we can better appreciate the anime with more mature and well-thought-out writing. And as we collectively do this more and more, the studios will produce more anime like this to cater to the fans. Supply and demand. This means more top-tier shows like Attack on Titan, Death Parade, Frieren, Kids on the Slope, Wonder Egg Priority, To Your Eternity Erased, and more. And less cookie-cutter, lazily written power fantasy shows and isekai with MCs that are about as deep and complex as flat earthers or girls who believe in horoscopes. At the end of the day, though, watch what you want to. Don't let me or anyone else dissuade you from enjoying what makes you happy. If you want to ride that nostalgia or ego-stroking train till the AI overlords take over, you do you, boo-boo. My goal is just to help you broaden your horizons, even if only a little bit. Get out of your comfort zone. Watch a show that isn't normally in your wheelhouse, but maybe was recommended to you. Branch into a genre you aren't familiar with. Like anything that isn't a mainstream battle shonen. Enjoy a rom-com or mystery thriller every now and then. There's a massive world out there of so many amazing and underrated anime. Despite what your parents tell you, you deserve the best. And having a well-written, complex, and relatable main character makes the viewing experience that much better. And you know what else makes it better? Subscribing to your favorite broke boy YouTuber, so I don't have to sell my last kidney for rent money.
Hey, it's me. Knock knock. So, you got my money?
And so you can get the best anime recommendations available on today's interweb. But seriously, if you enjoy my content, please subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and that way you're always notified when new rambling videos are hot off the press. Let me know in the comments what anime you're currently enjoying that you think deserves more love. I'm always on the lookout for new stuff. Until next time, take care, and have a great day, you beautiful beasts.